Hey guys, and welcome back to the General Admission Podcast. I'm joined with Archer, Joe, and Seb. I'm Flavio, and we'll be covering round 7. So we'll start off with the Thursday night's game. Rabbitohs 36-14 win over the Dolphins, and it was a close game in the first half. 14-6, Dolphins were up, and then just 30 unanswered points from the Rabbits. And I think the game really changed after that Kenny Bromwich sin bin.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Then
it was a bad shot as well.
yeah,
Well,
exactly.
I think it just shows how elite our team is. A good team in the Dolphins, stuck in it, didn't get flogged in the first half, even though we were playing bang average. Arm wrestle, tired them out, and when they got tired, those points just start rolling in. When the South Sydney Rabbitohs make a team tired, it is game over. They will pounce on them and they will destroy them.
Muhammad Ali-esque.
Yeah, they will pounce on them, destroy them. Trell gets going. Cody Walker gets going. Campbell Graham's jumping over skyscrapers to grab the ball in the air and scoring tries. You know what I mean? You even got Lachlan Ilias cooking a bit.
I have a session. I think Souths should hire Archer to give them a pre-match
the
hype
pre-match.
up.
Or he should just be like
He could just be the propaganda.
Yeah, just the propaganda.
Exactly.
That minute was,
Yeah.
I don't know.
Can I ask you
teary.
guys, if Bromwich wasn't sin binned, did Dolphins have a chance at winning that game?
They have a chance.
They were sin binned. They were sin binned
No.
at 20-14. Rabbitohs had scored 2 tries, so they had the momentum, but it was still a try gap. But
I mean, let's think about the tries that were scored. One of them was just Trell too strong.
yeah.
I mean, I don't think necessarily those tries wouldn't have been scored, but I don't know.
I think that sin bin was a result of them getting tired and getting frustrated, but they're
Yeah.
losing the game and they couldn't control it at all.
Yeah.
And I think regardless, South were winning that game. Maybe not as much of a margin. Maybe the Dolphins might score one more. But at the end of the day, they got tired. That South turned up in that second half and they smashed them. So, yeah. That's all I can say, really.
Display of the lack of depth, I guess, for the
Yeah.
Dolphins.
Yeah.
Well, we'll move on to the first game of Friday. It was Sharks Roosters. Sharks with a win, 22-12, and I don't think so. Which one of us? 2 of us tipped Roosters.
I
right?
tipped the Sharks.
You tipped
Uh,
Sharks.
Us two on
Yeah,
Roosters,
we were
those two on
Roosters,
Sharks.
and you 2 were
Oh,
Sharks.
Sharks.
Yeah,
But I would say that my tip was shaky. I would have expected the Sharks to be stronger.
Yeah.
Considering the similarities in the game, the Bunnies and Dolphins with the sin bins, the Sharks, I don't think capitalised on their
Yeah.
time spent attacking a 12-man defensive line.
Mm.
And a team like the Sharks with Nico Hines, I think, probably could have scored more.
yeah.
So not
So
to
they,
rub, yeah.
they should be happy with the 2 points, but
Of course.
in another game,
The Roosters had 2
yeah.
sin bins, right?
Two sin bins. Sharks had 1, I think, as well.
Sharks had, they did
No.
not. Wait.
It's very unprofessional, did they? But
matter.
regardless, Sharks were the better team, but it wasn't considering with a sin bin, it wasn't like the most impressive performance. It was a kind of scrappy win. But in those big games, sometimes, again, you're playing the Roosters. They're a good team. So
Yeah.
so if you're walking away the game, with 2 points on the ladder, I think that
A win's a win,
a win is a win.
especially when
if
it
it was
a
against
good
like
team.
if it was against like a bottom side, then I think it's that there'll be some doubts, some signs of doubts. But look, a win against the Roosters, who the Roosters, if we're being honest, they haven't looked that impressive this year. They've had a bit of a rocky start. They're 4 wins from their opening 7, I think, or 3 wins from, but they're outside the 8, and
Won't be forever.
again, it won't be forever. But I still think we still haven't seen the Roosters click into gear
Probably
this
not.
year. They've been a bit inconsistent. But yeah, we'll move on to the second game of Friday. Manly beat the Storm 18-8. This is a pretty scrappy game, and for me, I think what cost Storm here is their discipline, and it was a very un-Melbourne-like performance because usually Craig Bellamy's side, discipline is one of Storm's best assets, and I think just the penalties conceded, the sin bins, like that Justin Molan shot on Daly Cherry Evans,
That's
that scoring
stupid.
sin bin. It was just plain
Silly.
stupidity, and you'd expect more from from a Craig Bellamy, a player who plays under Craig Bellamy, it was just, it was anomaly. What do you boys think?
No, not much to say. Like, Manly got up for it, Storm just didn't.
Yeah,
Like,
I guess they.
and it was still a close game. So I think that says
It was
something about Storm.
it was setting the standard for me that I was very impressed with Manly getting physical. 2 people going in to just smack Olam over.
Yeah.
That's setting the
Yeah.
standard. That's saying we're going to be physical all night. If you can't handle it, then
They
you're going to
definitely wanted it more, and probably had a lot more to prove, that Manly side.
Yeah.
Scraping a draw against the Knights and then getting pumped by Penrith a week later. That they had something to prove, and I think they did that.
Yeah.
Congrats to Manly, and I think Melbourne, they weren't up to their clinical best, but I don't think it's danger signs for the team.
Back to the drawing board for the Munster fullback experiment.
Absolutely.
By the way. Just not. He could be a good player on it was like putting fullback on the Tigers, something it would be fine, something like that. But for Melbourne,
You need the ball in his hands as frequently as possible.
And it's just confusing because at 6, as I said last week, I thought, I said last week, I think Munster and Grant have been the best duo. So Munster's just been on fire in that number 6 role, and to move him to number 1, it was just like a different Cam Munster that we saw. So yeah, we'll move on to Saturday's first game, the early game, and Warriors 22-14 win against the Cowboys. Again, like this Cowboys side we've seen this year is like shocking. It's compared to last year, who they. Last year they surprised a lot of people with just,
on the opposite,
exactly.
the opposite end. They were surprisingly good.
They were surprisingly good, and now they've set this high expectation, and now we're just seeing a Cowboy side of the old. And I've always rated, Todd Payton as a coach.
Yeah.
And I thought he did a great job at the Warriors when he first came in.
And I guess you could argue that potentially last year the Cowboys overachieved.
They have.
But I don't think that's the entire thing where this is the reality of that Cowboys side. I think it's somewhere in the middle. They might have overachieved a little bit last year, but they're definitely underachieving at the same time this year. That might account for that disparity.
They're second last.
They still have a very solid roster and, as you said, a great coach. It doesn't make sense.
I think that last year, obviously, everyone said wooden spooners or bottom 2 or 3, and they proved that all wrong. They blew the allegations or things that people were putting on them last year. Could be a case of all those players in that team. It was a very special year. They all clicked really early. They all wanted it. They all played exceptionally. And then this year, they've come down a bit. I mean, they
come down to earth a bit.
They lost Hammer and was it Gilbert?
Yeah.
Yep. Which not too big a losses.
Yeah, exactly.
But
so
I think they're just playing poor.
Yeah,
like
I
the
guess it's you can't really put a finger on it. And I think
we'll see. Hopefully they can.
Well, not hopefully, because I'm not a fan of the Cowboys.
They're your competition for the spirit at the minute. So.
They're our competition for
for Cowboys fans,
they can certainly.
I wouldn't be giving up yet, but understandably,
because they've still got a lot of quality in their side.
And we should shout out the Waz holding down.
Of course, spot. They've jumped into the top 4 now.
Yeah,
defensively looked incredible,
and they were when they won, they were temporarily first, and it's just like. The Warriors, they're like the baby face of the NRL. They're the
baby face with Sean Johnson.
Of course. Well, it's just the Warriors team is like everyone wants them to do well because they're the New Zealand team. So it's you want them to succeed when, especially the sacrifices they made in
I think
the COVID year.
Yeah,
I think the Warriors by the NRL fan base as a whole. Get done dirty a bit because I think they have some very solid players in it, but you never hear people praising any of the Warriors players.
No, but they're a low market team. Like they're covered in.
They've got some really good players in that team, and I never hear on any TV show or anything until this year a bit more praise. But then none of those players ever get praise, and I think they.
Well, here we go. The TGA podcast praises the Warriors,
giving them the love that they deserve.
So, well done. Keep it up.
We'll move on to the second game of Saturday. the Penrith Panthers beating Knights 16-15.
Fraudulent win.
This was
Fraud.
so like as a Penrith fan, look, as we said earlier with the Sharks versus game, 2 points are 2 points, but Penrith against the Knights, this was just a shocking performance. Knights, I feel like they really controlled that first half, and if it wasn't for the masterclass and big game experience and quality of Nathan Cleary, who bailed them out, exactly the Iceman, 2 field goals. Knights win that game, and
it's a straight over the edge win where I think if we ran it back a few more times, we get very different results.
Yeah. Oh, well, the Knights have been pretty solid considering their injuries this year.
Yeah.
So I do think it's unfortunate for it to be that close considering Penrith's reputation. But what I will say is to Penrith fans, you should be a bit concerned this year compared to the last 2 years, just because of the fact that I can see so many holes in that team compared to the past two.
Nowhere near as dominant.
Exactly. I could see
And
a lot of teams being
and a problem area that I would like to identify from what I saw was Jerome Malay. And I think if I was selector for New South Wales on that game alone, there's no way in hell he's getting a number 6 jersey. With his choices on last, he looked panicked. And when you've got a bloke like Nathan Cleary who you can shift it to and stab a kick through, and you're giving it to Luai who's just going to run the ball dead into the defensive line.
And especially considering the options that the Blues have for that number 6 jersey, I think that
I'd be worried.
I think that Luai he's got to turn it around because he's not in favour.
He's only got a few weeks to do it.
It's only a few weeks till that. So, so.
Ever since 2021, I think I'm not gonna. My bias, if I just chatting normally and not like actually thinking properly, I would say he's a crap player, right? But I think since 2021, he's become an average 5'8".
Yeah,
and
no,
I think
I
that is fair to say because I don't think he's anywhere on the level of a Munster, a Cody Walker, even Moses. Don't think that he's like anywhere near those players anymore.
For me, I think he's still.
Also, Dylan.
He's still. When I say he's still young, I still think that he's got some areas of his game he can polish. He's
I'd love to see him change club.
Yeah, I love to see.
I would love to see that.
So I would love
Nathan Cleary by
and
his
just
side,
to see how we'd love to see him in like the Tigers or I mean I wouldn't want him at the Tigers because I'm not a fan of Joe.
I'm not saying like I want him to move on. I'm just saying he's got this schoolboy connection with half these players. I wonder how he would go out of the nest.
Well, first of all, he also does need to cut his hair according to Tyson Frizell. So maybe when he does that or ties it up, he might pick up the game a bit more.
Hair pulling is a redundant argument, and unlike Paul Kent, we will not be engaging in this.
Oh no,
such silly. That's NRL
3.
That's NRL 360 content.
We're higher quality.
We're high quality.
Yeah, exactly. We
don't waste our time.
We don't waste our time.
Buzz is coming for you. We'll have to get in the ring with him or something.
Well, we'll move on to the final game of Saturday. The Broncos. They beat the Titans 43-26. I think the score was it? Unprofessional. Yeah, 43-26. And again, the Broncos. They were it was, again, I think it was closer towards the beginning of the game.
Yeah, very similar to Bunny's Dolphins in that regard.
Until, it was 14-10 at half time. And then the Broncos just ran away with it. And I think that shows they had a great 14-10 to Titans were up. Sorry if I didn't specify. I think that, going into the sheds at halftime down and we really saw what the Broncos are made of. You could say Titans are a weaker side, but regardless, if you're 14-10 going in to the sheds down, the way they came out and
given that an often weakness attributed to that Broncos side is their youth, the fact that they acted like veterans when the time was needed and they lifted.
I mean, the game went about as you expect. Titans. They've got some attack. They've got Fafita out wide. They've got some good attacking weapons on the edge. So they can score some points, but they're always going to concede more points usually. So it's about as expected.
Very similar to the Bunnies game in the sense that you're playing those Broncos and Rabbitohs played two crafty, decent teams, right? However, they left it all out then
Yeah.
the first half.
As Joe
burnt
says,
out.
the odds will even out over 80 minutes.
Yeah.
Eventually, the inevitable will
Yeah.
happen.
Is it a concern for the Broncos scoring 43, of course, but is it a concern to concede 26 points?
No,
Even if you're scoring 43? Why?
Like,
Why
it's
so?
just because it just doesn't matter. Like the game was won realistically.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
And it wasn't some gritty
Yeah.
defensive. In that second half, they might have conceded tries just because they were so focused on
Yeah,
attack.
of course.
And
Yeah.
they were in that mindset.
And a lot of the tries as well were broken play and stuff like
Yeah,
that. So
Well, Gold Coast I think have a solid attack as well. Let's not just say Gold Coast have a average attack, so letting in that many points is like bad performance. I think they've got a pretty good attack, so to let in that many points, I mean maybe if you're very harsh on the team, then you can see it as a bad performance, but I think it's fine. It's not.
a win's a win.
Yeah.
Once again,
And on
That's
that
going to be
note,
the quote of
the
this.
episode, yeah, win's a win.
Wins a win. We'll move on to the first game of Sunday. The Raiders took home a scrappy win, 20-14 against the Dragons. Joe, you're the Raiders fan here.
It was truly, the first half was truly a horrendous game of football, an awful game of football. Seb and I watched it together, and it was just unwatchable. It was drop ball. Second half, bit better, but there's not much you can say. It's two lower quality teams going up against each other. It's always going to be a scrappy game. I'm just glad Raiders got away with the result. So
Yeah.
Yeah, a win's a win.
A win's a win.
No, but yeah, disappointing. I mean, I'm sure the Raiders and Ricky Stewart will be happy with probably that last 20. They were pretty gutsy
yeah,
against a Dragons side that looked like they could have scored and maybe, change the tides. But in the end, neither side, it kind of solidified both sides as, middle to lower bottom eight for me. Because, you can get away with stuff like that against, a Raiders or a Dragons, but that's going to concede. Like, those teams with that performance would concede 40 points to
Pretty
about
hard
half the
teams.
league at this point. So,
It's weird because I do like both of those teams. I think a lot of teams this year, there's only two teams I can see are just why would I back this team? And those the Cowboys and Tigers, unfortunately. But I think they're two good teams that just need extra few pieces for the next upcoming years and a bit of development. But I mean, they're not going to do anything this year, so it's not really too much to worry about.
unimportant game in the grand scheme of things. Realistically, come September.
Exactly.
unimportant. But for those sides, that's a win you need.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just for
To
your own
kind of,
morale.
yeah, for our morale and to kind of
Winnable for
And
the
Anthony-
side.
Anthony Griffin needed it.
Anthony Griffin needed
and to
it.
on the surface keep the season alive.
Yeah.
On the surface of things.
Yeah.
Actually,
So,
I changed my opinion on the Raiders. I saw them in the Broncos game. I'm not hyping them up. I'm not going to say, they're going to go and do this. But I do think they will finish. They won't finish like in the very bottom half. I think they'll be around the 9th and the 10th spot, maybe the 8th. Because I saw against that Broncos game, they outplayed the Broncos. Only team to beat them. You know what I mean? Brilliant Broncos side. I think Canberra fans should have something to
Don't
look forward
lose
to.
hope, maybe.
Yeah.
I've lost hope long.
We'll wrap up round 7 with the final game. For me, this was like the most boring game to watch. It was the Bulldogs Eagles game, 30-4. Eagles just
Not boring if you're a Parramatta
Killed
fan, maybe, but
well boring from a neutral.
Anyone here?
perspective. Thankfully,
You
not.
wouldn't be on a podcast.
Yeah,
I'll tell you that much.
we're not discriminatory except unless you're a Parramatta fan. So
Or Penrith. Or
or-
Roosters.
Or
Well,
Sharks.
Or
Yeah.
Manly.
so yeah.
So unless you're half the comp.
But anyways,
we don't like you.
on a serious note, close 20 minutes, opening 20 minutes, and then Parramatta put 3 tries in the Bulldogs, and then from then on, it was over.
Well,
Bulldogs tried to come back a bit with that, they scored. So maybe it looked like, 12-point lead, and then Parramatta just finished off the game with 2 late tries. So
an injury-riddled Bulldog side
yeah.
is worth noting, but I still don't think they beat that Parramatta side on that day.
Yep.
Well, I would like to make a point here because
Go ahead.
when it was
I'll allow you to.
it was 16-4, I think.
Yeah.
It was 16-4, and Bulldogs scored a try that got disallowed. And I thought if they got that try, they were going to make a decent contest of it. And what I will say about that Bulldogs team, the most two important players, not as a whole, I wouldn't say the two best players, but two of the most important players are Kiraz and Adokar. If Matt Burden doesn't have one of those two players on the field, it just makes him a lot harder to create opportunities. He can do some wild thing. And
Well, he just doesn't have anyone to create for.
I kind of disagree with that a bit. Like, for me, wingers are most of the time just interchangeable.
Yeah,
you know?
sure.
But of course, yeah.
Archer's point is Matt Burden isn't a massive scorer. Obviously, he can pull magic, but at the end of the day, he needs someone to finish
and
off
of course,
his magic.
Adokar and Kiraz, two high quality wingers.
Yeah.
But
It's tough for the Bulldogs,
yeah.
and
But as you
I
said,
still like him. I still really like
Yeah,
him.
I think what they're doing, that Bulldogs team is going to be incredible. Considering they're getting Crichton next year.
Yeah,
as
I was
well.
going to say it might not be this year, but
in the
next year.
in the next 3 years, honestly, if I'm just as a Bunnings fan, considering my team is a bit higher up, I would be scared of them in the finals.
Yeah.
Honestly, if they can glue, that team will be, I'd say, top 4 in the next 2 years. That's what I say if they glue, because they're making the signings, and these players are very good players. If they can stay healthy for a full season, not have too many injuries, I think they can really have a good run at trying to win the premiership. So,
Okay.
And on that note, we'll wrap up,
We'll move on
That was
to
round 7.
my 6 again.
and we'll move on to Seb's 6 again.
We'll kind of recap the week through some questions and also test your footy knowledge. So on Friday, we saw the game that's always touted as the Battle of Brookvale. Now, what year? No, sorry. Which players?
Sorry, are we going to do buzzers? Just
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
So instead of just
throw 'em
saying
in.
it, just say your team or actually
Yeah,
say
whatever
whatever.
you wanna say.
Throw 'em in.
So, the original Battle of Brookvale.
Yeah.
Which players were involved in that?
Tigers. It was Glenn Stewart and Adam Blair.
Correct.
Correct.
I
I
was
was hoping you
about-
could ask you.
I was about to say Chase Blair. But,
I thought
Odds
I
still
thought the
play.
year might be
I
too
don't
hard.
know.
You know the year.
2011.
Well done. Yeah, Manly when Manly were.
Yep,
Anyway.
I remember that.
So after this week's win, the Warriors remain in the top 4 on the ladder. However, they've only actually finished in the top 8 once since their grand final appearance. What year did they finish in the top 8 since then? And who do they play in that grand final?
Chomit, top 8 since. I missed out the back end of the question. I was so locked in. So, what year did they finish in the top 8?
Since the grand final, and who did they play in that grand final?
Oh, so they made the grand. Oh yeah. Was it 2000 and? I think it was against. Was it Storm?
What year
Are
though?
you going to lock it in?
What year though?
I'm unsure. I think 2008 was Storm Manly. I think. I'm gonna say 2000 and. Oh no.
Yeah,
2008.
Time out.
2008 Storm.
No.
No. Wait, sorry. It's since the grand final. What was the only year they played in the finals?
Yeah.
Well, the team they played against the finals then was Dragons.
Incorrect.
Tigers, Manly. They
Yeah.
lost 24-10.
Yeah.
Oh dear.
And
The last. So since then, when have they
Since
made the
then?
finals? Only once.
2016.
Anyone want to have a last minute stab?
2018.
Correct.
Okay, wait. So we
I'll give you a point
surely
each.
get
I'll
half.
give you a point each.
Yeah.
I'll give you a point each. All right. So after 7 rounds,
Take it.
one NRL side has 10 players left unavailable due to injury. Which side is it, and can you name 3 unavailable players?
Joseph, Bulldogs, Adokar, Thompson, Raymond Fatalamarina.
Correct. Well done.
I was gonna say Barney's.
So Campbell Graham's 2 tries this week is surely serving a brilliant bid for him to make his Origin debut. And we can debate that later. But what year did he train with the Blue Squad?
Chomit. It was 2021 as a utility.
Correct. Well done.
I guess so. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't.
But he didn't
know if
get
it was
picked,
a
right?
utility.
He didn't play. The 18th man was Coruscant that year.
But he
So-
didn't get picked. He was in the camp, but he didn't get
But
picked.
he was in camp. So
Yeah.
they picked like 3 players
Yeah.
to play with them, and then
Just
one becomes that 18th, which
Yeah,
was
yeah.
Coruscant that year.
Just like
So he's never technically got the jersey, but he did train with them. So there were 10 sin bins this round.
Holy
Which two teams played in the record amount of sin bins in one game?
Trumpet. Souths Roosters.
Correct.
Yeah.
Last
Bonus
year.
point.
When was it?
It was last year.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Is the round 26 clash.
Yeah.
Know all about it.
So that's 1 point to Arch. I'll give you a bonus point if you can get this. That side, those two sides contain the record 1 and 2 most sin bins for a career. So players who play for those teams currently.
Joseph, Radley, and Mitchell.
Correct. That's an extra point for Joe.
Really?
Yeah.
Latrell.
Mitchell and Radley both have. Well, Latrell has 8.
7.
Trell has 8.
Oh,
Radley has 7.
In their career.
In their career, it's the number 1 and 2 most sin bins.
And they're like,
I know they're both
they're
young.
like young as
Yeah.
well.
They're
They're
both-
two
They're the
grubs.
top 1 and 2. Billy Slater's coming third with 6. Anyway,
Really?
so the Dally M currently, it will be updated after we upload this, but the Dally M currently is led by 2 forwards. Who was the most recent forward to win the Dally M,
Joseph.
and which player has won the most Dally M's?
Joseph, Thurston, and Tamalolo.
Incorrect.
Tigers. So the most recent forward
Yeah.
was Tamalolo.
No,
No, but you just said incorrect.
You're wrong. You're wrong.
Okay.
Trumpet. Was it Sam Burgess?
To win the
Oh,
Dally
wait,
M player of the-
didn't he tie it? He drew it one year, didn't he?
I don't know.
No.
Answers, finish the question.
And who's won the most? Cameron Smith.
No.
Did I get one of those right?
No.
Yes.
Wait, really? Oh, Cameron Smith is the most recent forward.
Cam Smith
That's
is the
a-
most
oh.
recent forward. He's a forward. A hooker is a forward.
It
Oh
is,
my
but-
god!
Cameron Smith won it in 2017. Tamalolo won it in
No,
2016.
that's
no,
right.
I swear Sam Burgess did tie.
Sam Burgess has never won
No.
the Dally M.
He has
tied it.
never won a Dally M.
No.
He tied
No, he
it.
hasn't.
The only
Because it was a
forwards-
massive deal when Tamalolo did win it.
Yeah.
tied
Tamalolo,
with Cronk.
Tamalolo is the only non-hooker, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah,
I
for-
checked the last 30
Yeah.
years and yeah.
He tied
Surely
with
he
he
won
tied with
60.
Kronk, didn't he, that year? It was a
Yeah.
joint.
We searched this up.
He
you know.
tied
I think
with
he did.
Kronk.
I
Yeah.
think he did.
It was it wasn't.
Anyway.
Yeah.
So, Archer definitely won this round. You
I
got
yeah,
3.
Sorry, I got Campbell.
Joe got 2.
Got 1.
So I've got 1.
Damn.
So that leaves the current tallies. Archer up to 5, Joe on 4, and Flavio down on 2.
Let's move on to round 8. We'll go through our tips for the week. The first game, Rabbitohs versus Panthers at Accor Stadium Thursday night.
I will be there.
Okay,
We'll start with Seb. Yeah.
I am gonna back the bunnies.
On
Had
what
some time to
basis?
think about this. I'm gonna tip the bunnies just because, and I will mention it right now. Penrith have something to prove. As far as last week or this week goes, they will be very disappointed and they want to come out and make a statement. But I just like the bunnies right now. I really do, and I'm sure it might be my heart just wanting the bunnies to win that's swaying my choice. But I do think it's doable with Latrell and Cody firing the way they are. I don't know. That's what I think
good
the
take.
bunnies.
What about you, Joe?
I'm going to go Panthers for the reason you mentioned. Backup game. Ivan Cleary's going to get them up and about. That's about it. Panthers are a good side.
Yeah, exactly. I'm going to agree with Joe, who agreed with Seb, on the basis that I think that they've got something to prove, and they've got a good record against the Bunnies as of recently, and they're always a team.
Notably 2021.
Notably 2021 and 2022, the grand final 2021, the 2022.
Okay, right.
Preliminary.
We get it.
Rubbing
We
it
get
in
we
us,
get-
yeah.
And you know what? That's where I take over. Okay, Bunnies are going to win 13 plus. I said the Bunnies would flog the Dolphins last week. And let me tell you why. This Bunnies team, they're motivated. They want to beat the Penrith side. They have more to play for. A regular season game against Penrith means more to us than Penrith. We want to beat them. We hate them. All the players hate them. I think Cody Walker and Latrell Mitchell, right? I think they're going to get that team going. And remember the last time we played them this year? Very close game. I think the team has gone a lot better since then, and our performances, our weapons are a lot more locked in, And I think at the end of the day, I think it will be a battle of attacks. I don't think it'll be.
I think your chances definitely improve if they get you in the locker room before the game.
Yeah.
But
13 plus.
if that doesn't happen, it's going to be very close.
Yeah.
Propaganda specialist here.
Yeah.
We'll move on to
Hype man.
the one game of Friday, just the one at 8 o'clock. Eagles versus Broncos at Bank West.
Ooh, that's fun.
So
It's a good game.
I'm gonna tip the Broncos.
I'm going to tip the Broncos.
Joey.
I'm going to tip the Eagles.
Same.
Oh, I thought I was going to be going the upset.
We split the desk again.
You know why? Because it was. I think the Eels are gonna get a good one in there. Like I saw them today, and there was like the beat up Bulldogs team. Like meh. But I think the Eels are really gonna live for this game. As much as I love Broncos, are my second team because I had Reynolds, right? I love the Broncos, but I just have a feeling like that Eels team. I think they might. I think they might beat them, cause an upset.
I'm just playing a safe card.
I mean, I don't
just
even think.
they're
I'm glad that we've got some disagreement because obviously
Yeah.
we should mention last week our tips ended 6-6-6-5.
Yeah,
So
similar.
not too much difference in score, but
Disparity.
already we're disagreeing.
Yeah.
I like the Broncos, and I don't like Parramatta. My tips. Look. This is the important thing about my tips is there's no money on it, so I can be as emotional as I want with my tips.
There's going to be a forfeit. We're going to come up with a forfeit.
We'll
Yeah,
come with a
okay.
forfeit.
At the end of the
We'll put it
season.
in,
Yeah, with that.
We'll think of one.
They have to do. Loser has to do a nudie run on his field in the stadium.
maybe no.
Loser has to have a lifetime ban from the NRL. We're a footy podcast.
and pay a lucrative fine.
Yeah.
So maybe not that extreme,
Maybe-
but we'll think of something.
Maybe we got some sponsors on the podcast and
Yeah.
some ads running. We could afford a streaker.
we
fine.
could afford the fine.
Yeah.
So,
And they're just banning from all
Oh,
major stadiums.
I've got a good forfeit. So the loser has to jump in the local canal.
Okay, that's a
That's
better
another one.
That-
And
that's
I'll
a good
tell you
one.
what, feels Leichhardt Canal, Hawthorne Parade Canal. It's a nasty. You know the three-eyed fish from The Simpsons, right? You find them in there. You find those type of fish in there. They're deadly. You don't want-
mutant creatures.
I've swam in there before three
Alright.
times.
So final round, we'll do that. So maybe I should take my tips more seriously.
yeah.
But
now
don't-
that the Leichhardt Canal is in the line, yeah. Take it more
but
seriously.
yeah, I still will back the Broncos.
Yeah.
Reece
I'm just playing a
Walsh
safe
is
card, I'll be
too
honest,
good.
I'm just playing a safe card.
I think Broncos are reaching a little bit, so I'll back the Eagles for the upset.
I also, before we move on to Saturday, I think now that I think about it, if Broncos win this game, it's like without a doubt, they're the real deal. They're the real
True.
deal because
Well, Seb said last week that Eagles aren't top 8 contenders. So.
I think the Bunnies game will be a real. If they win this week and they beat the Bunnies next week, definitely.
well,
Yeah,
they've got some wiggle room.
exciting weeks ahead.
They're
Broncos
two
back.
wins clear of Penrith at the top, so they've got some wiggle room. So I think that Eagles need this win more than the Broncos do.
Yeah,
But
True.
I'd say that. We'll move on to the first game of Saturday at 5:30. Bulldogs host the Sharks. And
I don't know, is there any upset tips here?
oh,
3, 2, 1. Sharks.
We're gonna tip the
I
Sharks.
want to tip the doggies, but
No, you don't.
See, I want to tip the doggies, but I also don't want to jump in like
Exactly.
now.
Yeah.
They're a moving like ambulance right now. Like they're
Yeah,
just,
you're
like,
Yeah.
everyone's out.
without Kiraz and Adokar.
Fully strong. Maybe I might pick the upset, but no way. Ronaldo's putting a hat trick on him.
I said this last week, I hope
Yeah.
so. Keep predicting a hat trick for Ronaldo Militalo,
He's one of my favourite
my
players.
pod play super coach. Anyway.
Second game of Saturday, 7:35. Sorry, Cowboys host the Knights.
Ooh.
I was.
That's
see,
a good one. Low key, I like that.
This is a good round.
See,
You can see Archer and I have not looked ahead at 1 week.
I just
We're
know we
surprised-
play Penrith.
We're just surprised every matchup.
yeah. See, I'm gonna go with the Cowboys. I think that the hosts. I think that they've got to win one.
Yeah, I'm going with the Cowboys as well.
I think the Knights are.
They just came
They've
off
been
big.
playing well recent. Just. I think that Knights have been. They've been doing better than I expected this season, but I still think this is a winnable game for Cowboys, and
It's a
I
winnable
think
game for Knights as well.
it's a
just
winnable game
quietly.
for Knights. But in terms of I just no explanation here.
I just-
I'm tipping the Knights.
tipping the Knights on the safe card basis or
No, that's not safe.
Oh, they'll be
Knights,
Cowboys-
Knights are favourites.
they'll be
They,
favourites.
okay, they
Favourites.
shouldn't be
It's
favourites.
50-50.
My brain says Cowboys will win, but I just think the Knights they showed some real class last week, and I think they're unlucky against Penrith. Maybe they can do it.
I think.
It's going to ride. I will say this: it's going to ride on Lockie Miller because
Yeah.
I think he wasn't. He didn't play against Penrith the way he has been all year, and he still played pretty well. So Ponga might be back as well.
Yeah.
An important note.
Big game. Big
But
game,
I don't know if he'll even make that much difference. I honestly think Lockie Miller will be more important than Ponga in this game.
See,
Ponga feeding Mars, you know.
now that you
You're
say that,
right. No,
it's
no, you
not-
can't change.
no, it's just like, but if
You've locked it
Ponga,
in,
if I'm gonna stick with the Cowboys, but it's like, if Ponga gets picked, that just changes everything.
Yeah,
You know what
it's
I
big.
mean?
It's big.
Well,
I'm gonna stick with the Cowboys. We filmed this on a Sunday night, so we don't.
It changes everything, but I'm still going to stick.
Yeah, no, but I'm saying like we're not gonna. I won't let the. It's 2 days away from the team list, so I'm just gonna take it by right now. I think Cowboys are gonna win that game,
Okay.
regardless of whether Pong is there or not. And what about you, Arch?
Well, tell you what. Throw a little hot take as well.
Here we go.
Right?
We've all picked. It's not gonna be hot because you're gonna agree with one of us.
Yeah.
No, because the
It's gonna be a draw.
This Knights team. Tell you what, if they're fully healthy from the get go, I think they're a top 8 side. Really?
Hot takes are later. Hot
Yeah,
takes
wait,
are later.
later.
I was gonna make that my hot take as well.
Regardless, I'm picking the Knights.
Okay.
Bit nights. We'll move on to. So we had 2 Knights, 2 Cowboys, right?
Yep.
Yeah. First
Archer
game
and
was-
I, no, we've done. Okay, anyway, it's gonna be a very shake up for the tips.
First game of Sunday at 2:00. Dolphins host Titans at Suncorp.
Ooh,
For me,
Dolphins.
Dolphins.
I'm going to go Titans.
Ooh, I might take Titans as
No,
well.
you said Dolphins.
No,
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 no
no,
switching. No switching.
Dolphins.
I don't know. This is hard.
I
The-
think
The Canal forfeit's making me really
I think,
think.
yeah.
And
Hammer and Osako, they're lethal.
I-
They're
yeah,
little
like-
assassins, bro. Like they've been
Titans are a
amazing.
great side.
Great
I wouldn't call
straight.
Titans
No,
a
they
great
just
side.
have some players that can pull stuff out.
They have a lot of
I-
electric attackers.
I think that
Bro, I'm so scared of Fafita.
I would
It's a
always
50-50.
yeah, but
I'm gonna pick the Dolphins, but Fafita.
He's been there for the last 2 years, and Titans have still done nothing.
Yeah, but
I'm-
against
I'm-
the Dolphins,
I'm sticking with Dolphins.
I'm gonna go.
I think that they've played some good footy. Some games they're coming off the back of a loss against a hot on fire Rabbitohs side, but I think that we've seen what they're capable of this year, and I think this is a game where
Joe
they-
could pull a sneaky.
he could pull a
sneaky one,
sneaky
but I'm
one up
gonna
on
do
us,
the
but
Dolphins.
yeah,
This is make or
I think
break.
they've got the better roster, in my opinion, and they'll get the win.
He's getting in the canal, Joe.
The final game of Sunday at 4:00, Tigers Manly.
Manly.
007, I will be there. 0 wins,
I don't think they
0 draws, 7 losses. Calling it now, Manly.
2 points.
Manly. Yeah, Manly.
But like 0, this will be our 7th loss.
I know, but we will be on 2 points still.
But you
Double
haven't,
O seven
you haven't won a
five.
game.
No,
of
but
footy.
double said like 0 games.
I know it's double. I'm just Flavio. Come on, man.
I said I'm
Come
accepting
along
it.
with
I'm
me.
accepting it.
Okay.
Okay.
I'm tipping the Tigers.
I'm tipping the Tigers.
Alright, well.
Yeah!
I'm tipping the Tigers.
Canal.
But now let me just say it's not just like it's not so much like I'm just backing my own team.
Coming off the
I
bye.
just think that
It's
coming off the
inevitable.
I just think that like
We can't lose every
we've got to
game.
win one eventually. And
Against Manly.
do you know 90% of it was on some
On
betting-
tab.
on tab 90% of the people who voted think that we're not going to win a game this year, which is ludicrous. Which is ludicrous.
How funny it would be if you did.
It's so possible.
I don't think it is.
You know, is it? No.
Because
No,
we've been.
if we don't win a game this season, we'll be like
oh.
it'll be the second longest
No.
losing streak of all time.
I know what it will be.
We're not gonna.
It'll
be- it's not
we're
the
gonna win
worst.
a
Because
game.
we've also got 3 games.
We're gonna win. You know when we're gonna win?
Origin.
This Sunday.
Oh.
We're gonna beat Manly
No,
at Campbelltown.
I'm
You heard it here.
picking Manly, but I think Tigers would get their first win around Origin period.
Yeah,
I
that's
think
fair.
that's your
Yeah.
window
because
to get
because none of our players are good enough to make Origin.
Coruscant.
So
Oh,
We actually have an Origin caliber player.
yeah.
I mean,
Will
Bateman
he
would-
play? Would he?
Yeah,
Would
he'll be.
Ba-
Oh, maybe not because Ben
No,
Hunt
Cookie.
and
Oh
Grant.
wait, is
He
he?
plays
Is
for
it
New South
blue?
Wales, mate.
Is it
Where
blue?
Coruscant? Oh,
Cookie.
yeah, what am I
Cookie.
talking about?
Cookie. Damien
Oh,
Cook.
I think Coruscant plays Origin.
Damien Cook.
He doesn't
No,
play it
no,
over.
he doesn't
Cook's
play
been
over Cook.
phenomenal. Lead to
He
lead in
doesn't play.
tackles. You know,
And
he's been in.
I would. I'd play. Yeah,
Who's our third?
have to
Oh,
pick
Hines.
Cook.
But you know what I'd say Bateman and Papali'i are Origin tier if they could.
But
obviously.
they're
But
but one.
Bateman
yeah.
is English.
Yeah, but no,
And
but
and
if
the
they
other's
could
Kiwi.
represent
Yeah.
one of the things, you know what I mean?
Yeah, but you know.
Mute point because they can't.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
But they could play. That's all I'm saying. They are good.
So this is actually also Anzac round. So we've got our Tuesday games, which is
Yay!
The annual.
so the annual 2 Tuesday games are
How good? We'll be at the pub playing 2 up, footy on. That's gonna be a good
so,
Tuesday.
yeah. So the first game is
You don't
you know, 2
2
up, you know, game.
Once again, we don't condorse
Yeah,
gambling.
exactly.
Actually,
No, it's
Yeah,
illegal.
it's legal. Yep.
You can come with us, Arch, and we'll play some 2 up.
Which we won't be playing 2 up because it's illegal. But
It's legal on Anzac Day.
Is
Oh,
Anzac
right.
Day
That's
a
the whole
public
thing.
holiday?
Yes.
yeah.
Oh, so
Okay.
I don't have to work then.
No way.
enough about 2 up and not working. Roosters Dragons. Do we all want to say it at once?
No. Yes. Rooster.
Roosters.
Roosters.
Oh, you ruined it.
That wasn't at once, but
You backed the Dragons last week. You're gonna do it again.
Well, I just saw he did the Thierry Henry.
Do it. Do it.
Do it, bitch.
Yeah.
Ravalawa was kind of good, but I'm going
Ravalawa though.
Is
The winger.
Could you say Ravalawa was your player to watch?
Alright, I'm picking the Roosters, but don't be surprised if Ravalawa pulls off a hat trick.
I think that it won't be a blowout for me. It'll be a close game because I think that the Roosters they haven't looked that convincing this year. I still
the
think they'll win.
Dragons.
Yeah, but
Guys, this
I'm
is silly.
saying-
We don't.
Yeah.
It's the Roosters.
yeah, the Roosters. But I'm just saying I don't think it'll be a blowout.
I think
That's all. I'm
you
saying.
know what I'll say.
I think it'll be a blowout or
Or not. Thanks,
they will
Captain Obvious.
lose.
No,
How-
I
do you-
think.
Do you really see the Roosters winning by 6? No.
Yeah, we'll
Really?
see. We'll see. We'll
You
see.
see the Roosters winning by 6?
I didn't say 6. I reckon like 10.
And the
maybe.
loser of this little bet has to jump in the canal.
you know what I will say? I think Brandon Smith has his breakout game this round.
Oh yeah.
Like, on Anzac Day, I think
like
he'll
that.
have his
Good take.
breakout day.
He actually played well last week, but he got a
But-
sin bin.
Not well, you can't say.
I know.
It's
It's just.
if you cop a sim bin, then you
Yeah, I know.
that's a detriment. to
Okay,
the
sure.
whole one.
He hasn't broken out yet. Next week might be the game.
Final
I can back
game,
that.
7 o'clock, following the Roosters Dragons game, is Storm Warriors. Now, Warriors, they're playing well this year, but for me, I'm going to take Storm. I'm going to play the
Yeah.
safe card.
Storm Bellyache doesn't lose 2 in a row.
Yeah.
Well, it did, but won't again.
He has before, but yeah.
Literally this season.
I think, I think that the reason why they lost to Manly is because, as I touched on earlier, is their discipline. I think they'll tidy that up. I think the Munster experiment at fullback is they'll.
Done and dusted.
Yeah,
done
Manny's
and
back.
dusted.
He's hung up
Manny's
the
back.
boots for
Yeah.
that.
And
Manny
surely
back.
the Warriors can't keep winning.
Fingers crossed they can.
Well, what's your pick, Seb?
Storm.
Are we all going Storm?
Well, I'll tell you what.
Here we go.
I'm taking my brothers.
I love the way he like
NZ.
well.
So they're not your first or your second team, but they're still your brothers.
Talk to the people in New Zealand.
Yeah.
Tell them, Arch.
No,
The
I
Australians.
respect the club, respect the country. I love the New Zealand Warriors. They're not my second favourite team, but my third favourite team. And
What about Fins Up?
they're my fourth favourite team.
You know what we should do on the podcast next week is a tier list of
Tier-
Archer's favourite teams. 'Cause clearly he's got a lot steady rank in
That
his
could be
head.
a weekly segment though.
Yeah.
Yeah, it changes.
They're the power ranking.
Whoever beat the Bunnies most recently is
It's
just
at the bottom, yeah. So,
But no, I think Warriors, real deal this year.
Okay.
3 to
They're
Storm,
looking dangerous.
1 to Warriors.
Honestly,
and,
I'm just excited that we've got some really good
yeah.
Matchups.
divides between
Yeah.
our
So I think that
tipping.
we should see the
The
leaderboard
ladder, yeah.
kind of just change a bit.
Yeah.
But that
Exciting
concludes our tips and preview for round 8, and let's move on to what we'll finish up with, just a hot take
Yeah.
from each of us. Sebi, do you want to kick us off?
Start with Archer.
We'll start with Archer. I always start with Sebi.
Why starting from me?
We're going to
Start
start
up,
with you.
champion.
Do you have a hot take for us?
Well, I do have a hot take.
How hot is it?
It's a bit hot.
It's a bit hot.
Does it have to do with the South Sydney Rabbitohs?
It doesn't this week.
Does it have something to do with Jared Warrior Hargreaves?
Or Jerome Luai.
I was gonna say.
That's a future hot take.
Okay, I'll say my actual hot take, and then later on I might mention the other one.
I really hope you do.
But I think that Raiders, I think they're going to be 7th this year.
Yes.
He said it's a bit hot.
Somehow his take that Latrell Mitchell would win the grand final, Dally M, Clive Churchill medalist, is less hot, in my opinion.
I please explain?
That is more likely than the Raiders
But
getting
specifically
Can I
7th.
explain?
Like, what about 8th? What about 8th?
They
What about
could
eighth?
get it's 7th to 8th.
Okay,
Okay,
you reckon no
So
one...
top 8.
Top 8, yeah.
Top
No.
eight.
Well, I'll explain my reasoning. No, I'm not an avid Raiders fan, but the few games I have tuned into, they got some really solid players. You know, I think they got a good playing group. I think when everyone's on the field clicking, I think the Raiders can put in a real good shift and give any team a scare in the comp. It's one of those teams where I would not back the favourite. I would be scared if I was the favourite every time, if I was supporting that team, because I think the Raiders can beat anyone, but they don't do it consistently enough. But I think they'll rack up a lot of points this year from just playing better.
That's not the worst explanation for one of your takes I've heard. That's pretty good.
Here, my problem is I could pick quite a few teams.
That is just better. Yeah.
Not that it's just better, but like could slide into the 8. My problem is it's a long season.
Yeah.
Like a potential hot take could be if the Knights made the top 8, they could win the grand final. I think
That's...
I think that's genuinely believable. That if you put a side like the Knights in, they're 3 games away from a grand final, they could do it. My problem is I just don't think the Knights can win enough games over 27
They don't have the
rounds.
longevity.
And I just don't think the Raiders either. I think, they have sides where they could win against Penrith or could win, but
Did win against first place.
yeah, just sure. I just don't think. I think the season is too long. Where eventually things are gonna settle themselves out, and one-off heroic efforts aren't enough.
I think best case scenario we're pushing for it, but that's about as right now. That's as far as I would go with that.
Yep.
That's respectable.
I'll give my hot take next. We'll move in order.
Here we go.
I think you'll like this one. I think, and I'm not sure if you boys will find it as hot, but it'll definitely spark a discussion. I think Campbell Graham gets selected at centre for the New South Wales.
See, this is an
At
interesting one.
centre,
Why?
this is
Wallahi,
centre.
that's
This is an
facts.
interesting one. If they pick him at centre, it becomes between him and Latrell Mitchell.
Yeah.
Probably.
No, because here's the thing.
You know,
and then we're gonna do. We all saw.
sorry, what wingers? I think he's got a more of a chance of getting picked at centre than wing.
No, because where does Turbo go?
You can play Turbo on the wing,
But
but
you're
he was a
not
man.
playing
He was,
Turbo
exactly.
on
He was a,
wing.
he was a man of the series at centre.
I'll change.
Turbo and Trell.
I'll change it. I just think
Turbo
he'll
and
get. I
Trell's
think he'll get picked for
scary.
Origin. I think he'll get picked for Origin.
Okay.
We'll
Well,
stay on the wing.
you know what? Adokar being out is massive. I think he definitely could be picked on the wing.
Yeah.
Toto's a lock for the other spot.
Yeah, it's
You-
Toto, and then you got Tupou, I guess.
I'll bring up a
Adokar.
point.
Adokar,
Oh,
he'll be
Adokar.
out. He'll be out.
What's it called? I'll bring up a point that was discussed in the past few auctions. It's Queensland were targeting Toto side with the kicks a lot, just because he's a bit shorter. I think slotting in Campbell Graham, who's very good under the high
Over
ball.
Toto.
No, not over him, to play next to him potentially. Because that would help him out a lot defensively on the line when you go put
Is
a bomb.
Turbo on Toto's side, or would that be Trell?
Turbo wasn't playing last year, so
And neither did Latrell. Who were the centres last year?
it was
Manu?
Wyden and
Manu's a Kiwi.
Oh yeah,
Whiten and
Was it Gutho
yeah, would have been.
for one game?
yeah, it was Gato.
They did. There
That's
are
not
there
big
are a
again.
few other people, and I think we've still got a few weeks for
Crichton as well.
we've still got a few weeks for some of these boys to impress, but
Wait, yeah, just a
I
sneaky
can't
little
see.
hot take. The last 5 years of the New South Wales Blues have been close to as disappointing as the dynasty. The
yeah.
fact that we can sit here and discuss and could probably design 2 or 3 blue sides that could beat these Queensland sides. How are we 2 from 4?
Yeah.
How are we 2 series from 4?
Well,
I know obviously losing 8 years in a row, and you think 11 in 12 is ridiculous, but we have so much depth
I think
as a state.
I don't think, but I think that like the depth of the depth, we can have all the depth that we want. Queensland are like we don't need depth. We've got our team. You know,
culture.
we
Yeah,
might
but
change it.
It's culture.
It's
It's culture.
culture as well.
They want to win it more. It means
No,
more for that
I'm not. We consider
No, but the fans maybe. But that Queensland team, you can tell they want it more. They want it more every year. They want it more every year. And,
that is the most Queensland argument of all time,
and
I think
I love
it's
New
stupid.
South Wales, but I just don't think some of the players in the blue side have as much passion.
Say
as
that.
The Queensland.
I dare you, Archmeacham, to go into the Blues camp and say they want it more.
I would say
You would get-
face. I would
you
say
would,
to Luai's
it would
face.
look like a 1980s Origin Biffo.
Bro,
I
do you
doubt
think-
that the Blues camp would
Do you-
charge this.
Yes, they would.
Who would? This is so silly. Who would go up to him and have
We've
a-
seen what Payne Haas can do in an Origin
Payne Haas.
jersey. He'd put a few on his chin.
I
100%.
reckon that'll lift him if Archer went
So
up to
don't
him.
want it.
Oh yeah,
So
you
you're
can
not
say
working
maybe you
hard.
say to
Exactly.
fire them up, but it's just
Yeah.
wrong.
He's the propaganda specialist. It
propaganda
keeps
What's
coming
it
back
called?
to it.
But I don't think players like To'o or Luai or even I
Penrith players.
I just don't think they.
Hypothetically, if Reece Walsh was in the Blues side, he wouldn't want it either.
Imagine
I don't
Reece
see-
Walsh. Sorry, imagine Reece Walsh signs with Penn.
I don't
Forget it.
I don't see as much passion as when I used to watch, Paul Gallen play.
Yeah,
know.
back when you lost, what was it, 9 series,
Nine.
11 is it?
But
11 out of 12.
You could
Yeah.
tell every year he wanted so bad. I can't see that in that team. You got to want it every year like you haven't won it.
Yeah,
before.
but
You-
wanting
that's
it,
how
but wanting
much
it,
dedication.
but I
you
didn't
gotta
win the. Okay.
Okay,
Anyways,
I'm going to say agree to disagree because I think the whole mythology around the Queensland side, they were just a very good side, but the whole mythos that they want it more and Queensland wants it more, it's a spit in the face to those people who put on the blue jersey
Fair
and try their hearts
I'm not
out.
saying all of them.
I know, I'm just saying.
I'm just saying a few.
The Blues want it
individual-
too.
Individuals from Penrith.
Origin
And-
is still a month away, so
Yeah. So
Yeah.
with that being said, let's move on to Joe's take.
I
Your
think
hot
this will make a few people smile. I think Rabbitohs don't finish higher than 5th on the ladder.
Oh God, you're an idiot.
So
Not to
Rabbitohs-
say they're the 5th best team,
So,
because
so
I do.
Rabbitohs in the top 8, but bottom 4.
Yeah.
Because you have them making a top 8, right?
Yeah.
So 5th to 8th. Now.
Not to say they're not a top 4 in terms of like squad. Like they've got a very good squad, and they probably are in that top 4 region for squad. But you look at draw, you look at injuries. I don't think they finish higher than 5th.
Yeah, I don't think Canberra can make the 18. No, that is blasphemy. I've never heard such a silly answer from someone in my life. When you look at the, I'm gonna have to stand up. Like I'm that outraged, right? I'm on the edge of my seat. When you look at the big 4 of that team, I think we've got a bigger 4 and a better 4 than every other team, and they're not going to get injured. I think they're going to stay healthy there over the whole year. Cam Murray, Damien Cook, Latrell Mitchell, Cody Walker. Those 4
They are players that play for the Bunnies.
Those are
They really are.
in terms of a big 4, right? From any team, that is the biggest 4. You've got the best hooker. I don't want to say best.
Why do our episodes always end in this?
I say the second best lock in the comp. One of the best fullbacks in the comp.
You
I
should
would
have
say
been
Cody
You should have
Walker's
just
the
picked
second
different-
best 5'8". That team is they're not accepting 5th. If they, I'll tell you what, they would have to,
This is your fault, by the way. You
Yeah.
started it.
the stadium would have to get blown up, right? Mid-game, and they can't play again for us to get 5th. And they put on the junior team.
Well-
I'm telling you, there is no way we don't get top 4 this season.
Would you like to bet a canal jump on it?
Not being
I reckon,
No, okay,
we'll
all I'll
all
say-
end up in the canal.
All
by
I'll
the
say
end of the
is,
season.
first of all, yes, you had a hard draw. But if you're a good side, you pick up some of those wins. You don't just lose just because you playing against a better team. all the
We
time.
won 2 of the 5 first hard
Who did you
rounds.
beat? Sorry.
We beat Sharks, and then
No, you lost the Sharks.
we beat Sharks in the opening round.
Oh, it was Eels lost Sharks. Not bad.
Yep.
Oh, without Heinz though.
And then I'm pretty sure we beat Storm or Manly. Did we beat Storm? It was Storm or Manly, one of those two. We lost to Penrith, we lost to the Roosters, and we lost to.
And you only lost to the Roosters on kicks.
Yeah.
And you guys-
gets those
We
missed
played
kicks.
horrible that game as
Yep.
well. Like,
You guys, what came 7th last year?
7th? No, we came 6th.
Okay, so 6th. You didn't improve much squad wise. Age wise, you probably will. Elias has another year in the comp, but you guys didn't improve much squad wise, and everyone else has.
Wait, did we finish 6th?
Who are you?
Oh,
we
did.
Who is your top 4 then, if that's the case?
Top 4.
Just it's round
Oh,
bloody.
God,
it's
I'm
bloody
very-
round 7, but you've just come out and
Storm,
said that
Storm
you don't
Panthers
think-
locks.
Oh
Yeah.
my God, Storm is not a lock. They are so
Broncos.
average this year. They are so average.
Do we have the Broncos in there?
I'll put the Broncos in a 4.
Oh my God.
And then who else makes the top 4? Because you stuttering right now is why
What are you saying? The Sharks?
I
are better?
disagree with
No,
you.
it's because there's so many options.
I have the Rabbitohs
Sharks,
finishing
Bunnies.
top 4.
Parramatta.
Oh, bro,
No,
get it.
No. Okay, listen.
Okay,
listen.
if you're saying not the
7
Bunnies and
rounds
you're
in,
saying
yeah.
not the Sharks and you're saying not
I
Parramatta.
know, I said not Eels. That's the other one I'm saying no to.
The Eagles,
Manly,
the Eagles are definitely in contention.
Manly,
'cause
Sharks, and Roosters are the ones that are
But
competing for that as well.
what's
and
it
not
called?
the Bunnies.
Storm.
Manly,
I
sorry.
reckon they're competing for it. I just don't think
You
they're going
have,
to
you
get it.
have you have Manly as you think Manly have a better chance at making the top 4 than
No, I'm saying they're competing for it. I'm saying
Like
the same.
saying those 4 can fight for the 4th
Yeah.
spot.
Okay.
I
think
want
it'll be
whatever
Bunnies.
he's taking because like that is blasphemy.
So Seb, what do you think of Joe's take? Do you think Rabbitohs will make the 4?
I think the Rabbitohs will make the 4.
See?
Fine, full stop.
W Bornall.
I think he makes a good point though.
It's-
There's a lot of competition and Rabbitohs
Oh,
haven't necessarily.
I said this last week. This is going to be a very tight,
Yeah.
tight
season, yeah.
battle, and I don't think it's impossible the Bunnies
You're not-
fall out.
I certainly hope so compared to the disparity we had last year. I certainly hope the top 8 and top like 12 even stays like this.
Yeah,
But
absolutely.
What's it called? You know what? I will say this. Even if we were to somehow in some parallel universe finish outside of the top 4, we would still have a good run, a good chance to win the grand final, in my opinion. So
let's move on to Seb, your hot take.
My hot take is this: of this current generation, Nathan Cleary will be the only immortal. And he's the only, and I don't even think he necessarily will be an immortal, but he's the only one with a chance.
I agree with that.
And I just want to say, you might say, yeah, there's only one immortal per generation. If you count, the Smith, Thurston, Slater, Kronk, even you chuck like a GI, he's not going to get. But think about the caliber of that generation. You can't give them all 5 of them immortality. But there are some true contenders. I think Nathan Cleary will be the only contender.
Okay.
And he might get it just because...
Who from that list you just named do you think will become an immortal?
Cam Smith.
Yep. Thurston.
no, Thurston is a
Yes.
fraud.
Yes,
He's
Thurston.
a fraud. No,
Thurston.
I think it's
Why?
Thurston as well.
I think it's Thurston probably, but man, you'd be... It is so hard to miss Slater and Smith. Sorry, Slater and Kronk.
Slater's better than
for me.
Slater is
Slater is the best fullback of all time.
He's better than Thurston. He's better. Slater's better than Thurston.
There's been a lot of good 5'8s.
I don't think Kronk.
Maybe not Kronk.
Yeah,
Kronk
not
might be
Kronk.
4th, but he did. I mean, the fact that he won a premiership at Melbourne,
Went to
switched
the
over to
Roosters.
the
But he-
Roosters,
yeah,
and then beat that
but
side.
like-
Oh boy, he rigged that game. Keep in mind.
Okay,
6 again.
That wasn't that game.
Wait.
It was Roosters Melbourne. He beat
Oh,
Melbourne.
that when they forgot to run at the person with a dislocated shoulder. Was that the game?
Yeah, that's the game.
Anyway, that's my hot take. Cleary definitely has a shot. If he keeps at this trajectory, I think it's probably inevitable. 2 premierships, few origins. He'll get a few more premierships.
Doesn't have a Dally M yet.
Yeah, true. But that's
how
because
old
he's
is he?
playing in a stacked side, which I know.
How old is he? In 20.
26, yeah.
25?
Is he
He has got
he's been-
time
he's
to
been-
flesh out this.
Because at the minute, Tedesco actually has a better resume than him.
2
But
premierships.
he's got an identical resume, but he has the Dally M as well.
Can Tedesco get immortality?
Well, Cleary's got 5, 6, 7 years left playing still.
yeah.
Well,
I don't think Tedesco can get immortality because I think that he spent too many years doing nothing at the
Yeah,
Tigers.
he needed to spend more time at the Tigers to.
Yeah. But like he was a phenomenal player for Tigers, but when he only won how many grand finals has Tedesco won? 2. And a Dally M, it's not enough for an immortal status for me. And that's why I think when you look at Slater and, players like Kronk as well.
See, the problem is
Well-
with Cleary, you're predicting that he will surpass that because he hasn't surpassed it at
You
speed.
do wait.
Yeah, that's what I'm
Wait,
saying.
wait,
We're not comparing them.
Wait,
Yeah,
guys. I want to make a valid point.
We'll decide if it's valid. You can make a point.
Yeah.
2 premierships for Cleary.
Yep.
I'm gonna say one name. Latrell Mitchell. He's got 2 premierships.
There you
He's got 2 premierships. He's gonna win another one. He's gonna win Dally M.
All right.
How old is he?
All right.
He's younger.
Thank you guys for watching today's episode.
Of where we covered round 7.
Round 7.
And we'll see you guys next week for round 8, the end of round 8.
Archer finishes off.
Uh,
A win's a win.
A win's a
A
win.
win's a win.
A win's a win.
Thank you.
So, yeah.